This is the final word, T20 World Cup Daily, Day 15, Part 2. India versus South Africa. The quickening over in Western Australia. Jeff Lemon and Bharat Sundaresan with you. The show is brought to you by CBUS Super, making hard work pay off. Well, you've got some hard work ahead of you, Bharat. It's going to be quick, but it's going to be difficult. You need to summarise the entire match that we just watched in the space of 30 seconds or less.
Here we go. It was fast, it was bouncy, and South Africa's new ball bowlers blew India's top order away. Lungi Ingiri was unplayable. Then came Suryakumar Yadav. A magical innings, a magical touch, gave India a chance. Arshdeep swing, then swung it around and gave India even better chance. But then eventually it was David Miller, the finisher, who took South Africa home in a narrow finish.
There we go. I think that's it inside 30 seconds. I also like Arshdeep's swing.
It wasn't meant to be, but
no, but it is now. What I want to take a macro view here, a helicopter view of this game. What a treat! What a performance of fast bowling we saw from both sides against one another. I mean, the way that South Africa took it on to begin with, Ngidi early, Rabada supporting him in the field and also bowling beautifully, and then Anrich Nortje coming on and bowling absolute thunderbolts that nobody could even get bat on for most of the time, except the occasions when they were getting out to him. And then Arshdeep Singh comes on, left arm, swinging it, 2 wickets in his first 3 deliveries. Bhuvneshwar Kumar bowls gorgeously in support, almost unhittable, couldn't get a wicket because nobody could lay bat on the ball, barely conceded a run. Mohammad Shami comes in as the third string to back that up. Hardik Pandya does a pretty good job at times through the middle. It was on this Western Australian pitch, this sort of drop-in pitch that they use at the Perth Stadium, that's had bounce before. India played on it in 2018 in a test match and found plenty of assistance from it on that occasion as well. But just all put together, we're so used to bowlers just being slot machines for batters in this format, and to come out and watch bowlers really take it to them. We've seen it happen a couple of times already in this tournament, but this was the most dramatic fast bowling display, exhibition almost, that we've seen so far, I think.
oh yeah, absolutely. And we saw all kinds of it, right? Like we saw the pace and bounce from Lungi Ingiri and Kagiso Rabada. Wayne Parnell, very underrated performance. He took 3 very important wickets. He kind of swung it around, seamed it around, bowled different lengths to those two, lacking the pace of Ingiri and Rabada. And Nokia then backed them up beautifully with that short of length stuff. And I think what made it even more exciting, especially the Indian innings, Jeff, was the fact that South Africa knew what India was going to do. India knew what South Africa was going to do. India were going to come after the South
Yeah.
Africans and take on that bounce, use the pace. And like Lungi Ingri said during the innings break, it was South Africa's plan to tuck them up, not give them any room. So there was a bit of cat and mouse going into it as well. So you don't see a lot of cat and mouse when you're talking about genuine fast bowling. It's more about spin and dry wickets. That's what made it even more fascinating. So India went after them, got away with a couple of sixes early on, but then Ingiri struck. There were 3 wickets in 2 overs, removed the openers, and then Virat Kohli got out. And yeah, I mean, it was perfect. And yes, I mean, we can even use this opportunity to talk about how well India started. Arshdeep Singh has been a sensation. He did so well against Pakistan, swinging the new ball. Again, a wicket with his first ball. That sharp ball that just leaves the left-hander and comes back into the right-hander. Quinton de Kock just edging to second slip. And then the ability he has to genuinely get the ball to go the other way. It's not with some left-armers, Jeff, you'll see they bring the ball in, and then when it doesn't come in, it goes straight through with the angle. But Arshdeep shifts his wrist position beautifully and gets the ball to go the other way. And that's what makes him so dangerous. And that's what got him Riley Russo's wicket. And Mohammad Shami as well was, his conditions tailor made for him. And he had a field day. So it was, you rarely go into a T20 match expecting to see a showcase, an exhibition of fast bowling, seam bowling, spin bowling all put together. But like you said, that's what we saw today.
Yeah, Quentin de Kock and Riley Russo have been maybe the two most destructive players through this tournament. I mean, they've just scored so quickly at times, and Arshdeep Singh picked them both up within the space of 3 balls for absolutely bugger all. But to go back to the start of that India batting innings, the way that South Africa were bowling, so 3 wickets to the hook shot, Rohit Sharma's out hooking, Kohli's out hooking, Hardik Pandya's out hooking. And then KL Rahul and Deepak Hooda both flash edges, one to the wicketkeeper, one to slip. And Deepak Hooda's just come into this team. They had a reshuffle. They got rid of Akshar Patel. They thought they'd lengthen the batting, and he's an occasional spin option, I guess, if you want one, but largely leave it up to Ashwin and have it as that classic 5-bowler setup with Hardik Pandya to bowl a full 4 overs. Deepak Hooda was barely there. He's been away for a long time, but he wasn't there for long on his comeback. And he's just backing away and trying to flash this back of a length fast delivery through, edges it to the cordon. I mean, Anrik Nortje was bowling mid-150s according to the speed gun. The speed gun, I think, has been a little generous in this tournament. It seemed more generous than perhaps other radars might be at other times. But take it with a grain of salt, but he's been clocking 154, 155 on that gun. And it doesn't look completely implausible that might be the case. He's bowling significantly faster than anybody else. So they're 5 for 49, India. I mean, they're absolutely screwed at that point. And then Suryakumar Yadav he's just batting on a different planet to everybody else this year. So he comes out. He plays delightfully. He's using that gap behind square leg a lot, where he gets inside the line, picks up the ball and pops it over. 52-run partnership with Dinesh Karthik. Dinesh Karthik made 6. Suryakumar Yadav did everything else. He bats through to the last over. Was it the last over or second last over when he got out? 68 off 40. He's hit 3 sixes. The next best score in the Indian innings is 15. So the only reason they got to 133 was SKY, who, I mean, the drives down the ground, the pickup shots over backward square, he's on a different level.
Oh, absolutely. And he has the entire Indian dressing room and all. I mean, you should just look at Virat Kohli's expressions when Suryakumar Yadav is playing the kind of knocks he is these days in T20 cricket. And I've said this before. Those of us who watched Suryakumar Yadav as a younger cricketer in Mumbai always knew he was a freak talent. There was something about him. He played, I mean, what you saw today, this is how he played first-class cricket as well. He used to toy with bowlers and some high-class domestic bowlers as well. But it was almost like he needed to feel it. Like he needed to think that it was his day to perform or to put on a show. Otherwise, he almost seemed disinterested back then. And that's why I think it's taken him a while to break into the Indian side. And we've read and heard all about it, getting married, and that really having a family has really helped him settle down, and it shows. I mean, he's such control of his game. There's one thing playing all the outrageous shots he plays, but rarely does he look out of control. Like he either plays these extraordinary shots or he gets out. There's no in between. And there was that one shot, like especially on a pitch where so many have got out playing the hook shot or because of the pace and bounce, to take on Lungi Ingri, right? There's one thing taking on the spinner and taking him down. The way he took on Lungi Ingri first ball and he hit it like over fine leg. Yeah, it's a very, very special player and is capable of doing many, many more special things in just a matter of time before he plays Test cricket, I think.
So then those early couple of wickets, India have a small target to defend. They've got to strike early. They do 2 wickets in the second over. And then poor old Temba Bavuma having one of those days where he just couldn't lay bat on it. He hit a 6 at one point, but which was almost completely accidental. He just had a wild slog, big top edge over the wicketkeeper. That was about as good as it got. Eventually he got caught trying to play a scoop shot, caught by the wicketkeeper. I think he was 10 off 15 balls at that point. It was a painful sort of innings. And then that brings Aidan Markram together with David Miller, and they were struggling. They could not get the ball away. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar goes for 12 runs from his first 3 overs. Mohammad Shami, 3 overs, 1 for 7 at one point. Hardik Pandya had an over where he only went for 2 runs in the middle. They just couldn't score. And so even though it was a modest target at the start of the run chase, it quickly became a very difficult target. By the time they got to the halfway point, the South Africans needed 9 and over, which if you come in chasing 130 should never happen. You should be off to a fast start in the power play, say 40 off the first 4 or 5 overs, and it's a dawdle and you knock it into the gaps from then on. And they weren't able to start getting going until after the drinks break, and there was a clear decision taken that we've got to start attacking. And Aiden Markram pumps the ball out to the deep from Ravichandran Ashwin, and Virat Kohli drops it. And I think we were all as surprised. I mean, the commentators sounded surprised. Everybody, because it was a straightforward chance. It came directly to him. I mean, Kohli had a little slip as he tried to get it on the rebound. His feet went from under him, and so he couldn't get any traction forward, and otherwise might have caught the rebound after it popped out of his hands. But you just don't see Kohli drop catches like that. And it felt, even at the time, it felt like that's the point. That's the point of difference, where if they hold that catch, then they get to really turn the screws on South Africa. They get Tristan Stubbs out with almost 10 overs left to face and runs to score, and potentially India can come back into this, and the fact that it went down ended up being a turning point.
Yeah, Ashwin's reaction said it all, right? Like this, it's an
He
extraordinary
looked like he was
reaction.
singing opera.
Yeah, because he just holds his pose for a few seconds. He can't believe what's happened. I mean, there's
Yeah,
one thing about a bowler being disappointed or exasperated by a dropped catch, but this was just
yeah,
shock. He just couldn't believe
yeah.
how Virat Kohli, of all people, could just drop a sitter, also off his bowling. And
hmm
he already looked under pressure in that over. He knew that the South Africans were coming after him. There were a couple of boundaries already hit off him, in that over. So then to have Aiden Markham dropped at that stage, uh, yeah, that turned the game, because like you said, 40 for three they were, after 10 overs. They come back after the drinks break, and Markram takes on Hardik Pandya,
hmm
16 runs from that over, the 4 byes as well. But that was a big break. Like the next over to get him out,
hmm
Tristan Stubbs, yes, I mean he's a future talent, like supposed to be the next big thing of South African cricket. But the pressure of playing against India in Perth, who knows how he would have coped with it. Yes, David Miller was playing a great innings at the other end. So yeah, I think, and you could see it on Virat Kohli's face as well. I think it looked like he was saying, the lights were in his eyes. And I don't know whether you
hmm
noticed, even as they were walking off the field after the game, Virat Kohli was still talking about the drop catch. He was trying to explain to Hardik Pandya what had happened. So it was just like bizarre circumstances. But Ashwin's
Yep.
reaction, I'm sure that's like a meme worthy reaction. People will use that for many, many months and years to come, I have a feeling.
hmm And then there's also a run-out opportunity for Rohit Sharma. There were several run-out chances that were maybe half chances that might just have got him with a direct hit from a tough chance. But there is a real barbecue one where, Miller and Markram have been bad between the wickets consistently throughout the night. They go for a run that's not there. Rohit Sharma just has to underarm it about 10 metres at the stumps, lawn bowl style. Markram's nowhere in the frame. He misses. Markram survives, leads this charmed life, and eventually gets out, caught at deep mid-wicket for 52 off 41, but he's sort of done his job by that point. The breakdown where South Africa got 40 in the runs in the first 10 overs and then 45 runs in the next 4 overs. So it's the 14th over where David Miller gets stuck into Ashwin, hits a couple of sixes. And, by that point, they need 39 off the last 30. It's relatively doable. With 3 overs to go, Rohit Sharma has to gamble because he has an Ashwin over left, and so he has to bring it on at some point. And so he doesn't want to leave it to the end like poor old Mohammad Nawaz when India played Pakistan. So he brings him on in the 17th over. A couple more sixes follow, and then the wicket of Stubbs. But it's a bit too late because by that point the ask is down to a run a ball. And even though India take it into the last over, Shami bowls an excellent 19th, pushes it into the last, gives Bhuvneshwar Kumar 6 runs to defend in the last over. And there's a bit of bad luck as again with a glove. David Miller gloves it over the wicket keeper for 4 to tie up the scores when. On a less bouncy pitch, he might have been caught, but there were things that went against India, but those 2 key moments from their 2 most senior players, the drop catch and the missed run out, those were the things that might have ended up influencing the result a different way.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to very little margins. South Africa won, yes, in the end, they kind of got over the line. They didn't get there,
Yeah, just.
on a canter at all. And you're right. And both the dropped catch and the missed run out happened pretty much like close to each other. And when Rohit Sharma missed, the guy next to him was Virat Kohli, and his in any other circumstance, Virat Kohli would have looked a lot more shocked. But considering he just
Hmm.
dropped the easiest of catches from Virat Kohli standards or anyone's standards, I think his reaction was more like, I don't know what to do here, but I that should have, he should have got that directed. It was because Rohit Sharma had so much time to gather
Yeah.
himself. He had three stumps to aim at, and Aiden
Hmm.
Markram was nowhere in sight. He was so far away.
Yeah.
It was a suicidal run, and yeah, those little things is what I think India will look back at. And the stats for them as a fielding team aren't great in the last year and a
Hmm.
half or so. So that's came back to bite them. And it's amazing, right, Jeff? If you think about it, if Virat Kohli doesn't do what he does to Haris Rauf and the whole Mohammad
Hmm.
Nawaz drama doesn't happen, India pretty much where they were last year, where they lost to the two more higher build teams in their group, and they could well have
Mm.
be on their way out, at this stage of the
Mm.
tournament. It's just because of that Pakistan game going the way that they are still very much in contention and are still being spoken of as favorites.
Hmm. Yeah, and essentially South Africa would have to lose to the Netherlands in order to not make it through from this point. So they're in a very strong position. Pakistan would need that to happen in order to qualify, or they would need Bangladesh and Zimbabwe to both beat India, given net run rates and all of the rest of it. The Hall of Fame, this is where we pick the most final word moment of the day. It's brought to you by CBUS Super. That's a superannuation company. They look after your retirement packages, your finances in retirement. If you live in Australia, they're a joint that can help you out to make sure that your money's not going to profiteering shareholders. It's part of a member-based organisation, cbussuper.com.au, if you want to sort out your finances. Final word, Hall of Fame. I particularly enjoyed the badged team cold weather gear that they've got going on. It was freezing in Perth tonight. Somehow India have Team India beanies that they've been able to produce. They're all going around in woolen hats. And then, not to be outdone, Tabaras Shamsi on the South African bench was wearing big woolen gloves in bright South African green. Like, I don't know where you get team colour gloves from that are not batting gloves. They're like skiing gloves for the South African cricket team, but he has them. Anything that jumped out at you?
Look, a couple of things from this game jumped out. It had a lot to do with Ravi Shastri, just his wonderful commentary when Rishabh Pant finally rocked up to replace Dinesh Karthik, where
Oh
Ravi
yeah, we
Shastri
forgot
starts
this.
talking about, well, they would have gone to have had to go find Rishabh Pant, and if he was in the toilet, they would have knocked the door and said, "You need to go." And what if he wasn't done? He would have said, "Hang on, I'm not done yet." It was just great commentary or only Ravi Shastri could come up with. But
It,
also, I
it
know
was
you
extremely Ravi
it
Shastri.
was very much so. And I know Adam and you spoke about the previous game in the earlier show, but I was at the
Hmm.
Gabba. Randomly, I rocked up for the last 7 minutes or so, or 7 hours or so,
Hmm.
and I saw that whole thing play out. It was remarkable. I've never seen anything like that because the Bangladeshi players, Jeff, had started celebrating. They were like waving at their fans, and half of them had like almost gone into the dugout. And then they had to be like dragged out. And
Yeah.
for me, the thing was, there's no way the umpires could have actually figured out where everybody was on the field for the free hit.
Mm.
They made sure that the
It's an
keeper
honor
could not,
system.
yeah, they knew the keeper couldn't stand back. So they got him to in position. Oh, I've never seen anything more bizarre than that, where teams shook hands and then imagine if Zimbabwe, that last ball had gone for four.
Mm.
So how do you undo the handshake? So do you shake hands again because the other team has won?
Yeah.
So it was quite something. And seriously, I was so happy I went to the Gabba.
Well, yeah, we were hoping for a little more momentum on the Zimbabwe train, but hey, they could still do it. They've just got to beat India. Why not? Why not? Anything's possible. My last nomination is just Rohit Sharma's facial expressions all night in the field. I mean, the thing where a captain's supposed to be all cool and like not give anything away, like Owen Morgan used to do, just chew gum and look unfussed. He was the opposite of that. Every boundary, every time the ball went over the keeper for four byes, the drops, the misses. He had his head in his hands. He was shaking his head. He was pulling the hat over his face. He was the least chilled out person on that cricket cricket field out of both sides. So, and it didn't go his way in the end. So South Africa with a big win to round out a big day 15. We'll be back to one show a day from day 16 onwards, because there will be no more Perth late night specials. Those games finish about 2 a.m. where we are currently on the east coast of Australia. So we'll be back to daytime programming. On the final word, T20 World Cup Daily. We'll see you throughout the tournament every day. That's how it works. Jeff Lemon and Bharat Sundaresan. Good night.